All right. I am going to read Experiment 9 from Pam Grout's book, E Squared. I'm going to finish the book now. I've already read this, and actually I made a video earlier today and decided, no, I'm going to redo it. Here's my thought process. I feel that well, first of all, the experiment 8 has so far not done anything, unfortunately. But I feel that the reason these experiments have not worked for me, is basically the same reason that Neville Goddard's Imaginal Acts, what he taught, has never worked for me. It's because of my negativity, my dominant belief that either I don't deserve it or I'm too messed up or something like that. There is something that is preventing these things from working, and all of these tests proved to me was there's something going on here that I don't understand. And because again, when I tried meditation for the first time using the app called Insight Timer, I'm not promoting the app. Well, I am, but I'm not. Nobody's paying me to say anything. I would love to get paid to promote something. That would be fun, but only if I really liked it. I'll never, say something about something I don't like. Anyway, I entered into a state of bliss that I had never experienced, and it lasted for about a month. And the two meditations that I listened to on Insight Timer are Meditation for Depression by Franco Hickey. It's a 12-minute meditation, which really helped me because I've suffered from depression and mood swings my entire adult life, and was on meds, was on Depakote and Zoloft, which actually made me very stable. But at that point, my marriage was over, and she didn't care that it was, whether it was working or not. She didn't believe it was anyway. But prior to that, there were other meds that helped a little bit. But Depakote and Zoloft made the difference. I had to wean myself off of them because after my wife divorced me, I lost the insurance. She was the nurse with the insurance. And I've been off of those meds for 13 years now. So Neville helped, meditation helped, meditation cured me, but it only lasted for a month. The other meditation I listened to was a meditation, an odd meditation called Negativity Removal by Brendan F. Drew. So you can download Insight Timer for free if you'd like to listen to these meditations. You can use Insight Timer for free. I do. I did pay for it for a while because it's better if you pay for it because you get extra little things. But you can use the meditations for free. You never have to pay. It'll tell you there's a thing. You can just ignore it. Back out of it. Don't even get into any of it. So, because I'm convinced that my negativity is causing problems, I said negative things on the video. I decided, you know what? I'm going to redo this video right now. Because having tried the stuff with Experiment 8 to the point of even going outside and when I was walking dogs, stopping by a tree, closing my eyes and sending a message through to the tree and hoping that it would work, still waiting. But the fact that none of it worked yet was very frustrating. So I'm going to read Experiment 9 again. This is called the Fish and Loaves Principle. It's very good, what she writes here. I really, really like this. I would love to meet Pam Grout. I would love to talk to her sometime. I really like this book. As poorly edited as it is, it's still a really wonderful book to read. And I still believe in this stuff, even though I can't get it to work. But I really... I don't. You know what you just did to me, right? I don't care what you think. Open my damn window. I want my window open. All right, that's Charlie for those of you who don't know. He's somewhere around 15 years old. Maybe 16, or maybe 17, or even 18. I don't know. I forget. I forget how old he is. Oh, you little stinker. Meow. All right, so I'm going to read this again and try to have nothing negative to say, because it's not helping me. Because why would negative energy help you? That's the thing that I learned from meditation. I had no negative thoughts. The meditation negativity removal, which is 20 minutes long, by the way. So that's 32 minutes of meditation I was doing every morning. Meditation for Depression, 12 minutes by Franco Hickey. Negativity removal, 20-minute meditation by Brendan Drew. Every day. And when I stopped doing it, because he said you only have to listen to this for around 21 days or whatever. But once you know how to do this, you don't have to worry about it. And as soon as I stopped listening, I slowly went right back to my old self and tried to get back to that state of bliss, and have never been able to do it really well. I can do it temporarily, get into a positive frame of mind. So anyway, I'm just going to read this, and we'll see if this experiment works, and I'm still hoping for all of the other ones as well. All right. The universe is limitless, abundant, and strangely accommodating. This is a very, very positive message that's going to blow your mind, some of the things that I'm going to say here. Some of the things I wasn't quite sure what was going on with it, but you draw your own conclusions. All right, quote, most people come to know only one corner of their room, one spot near the window, one narrow strip on which they keep walking back and forth. Yeah, there is some truth to that. Rainer Maria Rilke, Bohemian Austrian poet. Just checking on my cat over there. All right. The premise. This experiment will dispel the myth that life sucks and then you die. Most of us, whether we admit it or not, believe life is hard. We believe there's only so much to go around. Whether we're talking money, and I agree with almost, if not everything that she says here. I'm trying to try not to comment too much. I'll try to not comment at all. Yeah, good luck with that. We believe there's only so much to go around. Whether we're talking money, time, or popcorn at the multiplex cinema. Even people with Maseratis in their garage spend way too much time figuring out how to get more. Why? Because they mistakenly believe there's not enough. Even billionaires, even people with an overabundance of resources live under the oppressive spell of there's not enough. A friend of mine was interviewing the wealthy owner of a successful business whose company was launching a new product. Noticing the rabid dollar signs in his eyes, she asked him if there was a profit margin, a success index, a dollar amount of some kind that he would consider enough. The business owner stopped for a moment, sighed, and gave this reply. Man, you just don't get it. There is never enough. It's like the game musical chairs. Everyone's worried that when the music stops, they'll be the one without a place to sit. We're rich beyond measure, but we feel strapped, scared, and always on guard. Sure, we call ourselves an abundant society, but in many ways it's nothing but an illusion, a ruse, thanks to the ever-present "there's not enough" mantra. We're too busy playing musical chairs, running faster and faster around that illusory circle. My eye is giving me a little bit of problem here, of shrinking chairs. Contrary to everything you know, the Fish and Loaves Principle proposes that there is a natural law of abundance and that everything's okay, you can relax. This is the basis for Joseph Murphy's teachings. He was part of the New Thought group, which you're going to hear coming up here. When Jesus prayed to multiply the fish and loaves, he didn't fret over how this might come about. He simply put all his thoughts into one laser-like formation. I don't know if you should be claiming to know how Jesus did what he did or what he was thinking about, Pam, but okay. Namely, that abundance and plenty were his divine right. Okay. Likewise, for the duration of this experiment, you're going to set aside your normal thinking patterns and allow them to be superseded by the remote possibility that there might be enough for everyone. Boldface, something is wrong with this picture. Quote, if you think there's a boogeyman, turn on the light. Dorothy Thompson, American journalist and broadcaster. Scarcity and lack is our default setting, the unquestioned conditioning that defines our lives. Man, I'm just itchy here. All right. The belief that there's not enough starts first thing every morning when the alarm clock rings. Ah, shit, I didn't get enough Z's. Before we even sit up, before we even squeeze our feet into our bunny slippers, we're already bemoaning lack. When we finally do get up, it's, now I don't have enough time to get ready. And from there, it goes downhill. We spend large chunks of our energy worrying and complaining about not getting enough. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough exercise or fiber or vitamin E. Our paychecks aren't big enough. Our weekends aren't long enough. They're not. That's just me interjecting. We, poor things, are not thin enough, smart enough, or educated enough. Well, yeah, I'd like to be a little thinner, a little smarter, and that would mean a little more educated. So yeah, you got me. It never even occurs to us to examine whether this not enough mantra is true. It's so profoundly ingrained that it shapes our deepest sense of who we are. Being deficient has become the lens through which we experience every facet of life. It's why we take jobs that don't satisfy us. It's why we stay in unfulfilling relationships. It's why we keep going back to the buffet line long after our appetites have been filled. It's why we've created systems and institutions to control access to resources. In parentheses, she asks, oil anyone? That we perceive as valuable and limited. If we weren't so worried about not having enough, we could relax and use the resources we do have to develop alternative sources of energy, like the sun or the wind energy. I hasten to point out that will never run out. This not enough fiction drives us to do things we're not proud of, things that compromise our highest ideals, things that lay waste to the natural world, things that separate us from our highest selves. And once we define ourselves as deficient, all our energy gets sucked into making sure we're not the one being left out, not the one losing ground to the other guy. But here's the deal. It's all a big, fat, unfortunate lie. There is enough for everyone. We live in a big, bounteous universe, and if we can just get over this unfounded fear of not enough, we can stop hoarding resources. There it is, right there. Come on, who really needs 89 pairs of shoes? And free up our energy to make sure all of us get what we need. That's how we should be living. Everyone should get all that they need. Everyone. I don't know how you pronounce this word, Chumash, Chumash, the Chumash Native Americans who lived for thousands of years on the central coast of California enjoyed what I would call rich and prosperous lives. They lived in small, close-knit villages and used the natural resources around them to make canoes, arrows, and medicine. They regularly dined on more than 150 kinds of seafood, honeydew melons, and pine nuts. They made fur blankets, soapstone pots decorated with shells, and extraordinary baskets so tightly woven they could hold water. Almost every day the Chumash played games, danced, sang lullabies to their children, and enjoyed a cleansing sweat in the village Apayek. I guess that's the name of the village. Nowadays, we call that type of lifestyle subsistence. I'm not sure what that means, but that's okay. We look down upon it as a hardscrabble existence. But what I'd like to suggest is that the Chumash, unlike us, lived in an economy of abundance. To the Chumash, there was always enough, not too much, not too little, enough. Most important, there was enough time for things that matter: relationships, delicious food, art, games, and rest. Right now, with the resources already at your disposal, you don't have to get a new job or find a new relationship or even start a time-consuming new yoga practice. You can begin to recognize and lead a rich and meaningful life. And the best part is, you can quit working so damned hard. Take it easy for a change. Boldface, bliss happens. Quote, what if this powerful force was used to uplift people rather than keep them trapped in the corporate and religious food chain? Says Mark Vincent, director of What the Bleep Do We Know? The bottom line is, we have no conception of the limits we have placed on our perception. If we really knew the extent to which we have denied the world's loveliness, we would be shocked. Our confusion is so profound that we cannot even conceive of the world without sacrifice. But here's the thing. The world contains no sacrifice except what we laid upon it. It's worth pausing for a moment to consider just how deluded we've become. A few days after Eckhart Tolle's 29th birthday, he suffered an intense anxiety attack. He had suicidal thoughts. His life so far had basically sucked. On this particular night, he kept saying to himself over and over again, I cannot live with myself any longer. Suddenly, he says, I could feel myself being sucked into a void. When he woke up, all he could experience was love, a state of deep, uninterrupted peace and bliss. His intense emotional pain forced his consciousness to withdraw from all the limits he had placed on it. The withdrawal was so complete that his deluded self, his unhappy and deeply fearful self, immediately collapsed like an inflatable toy with the plug removed. He spent almost 2 years doing nothing but sitting on park benches in a state of intense joy. Does anyone know when this is what he says happened to him, spent 2 years doing nothing but sitting on park benches? I'm assuming he wasn't homeless. Because in 2 years, let's see, your clothes would be filthy, you'd stink to high heavens, and I guess you're going to eat by people giving you food. You couldn't bathe anywhere, I'm assuming, if you're homeless. So was he homeless during these 2 years, or did he just basically spend his days on a park bench, but he slept somewhere else and bathed and, I'm assuming he wasn't homeless. Or was he? Does anybody know? I read the first part of The Power of Now, and I don't remember it. Actually, I have it here. I could probably look up, was he really homeless? Because that doesn't say he was homeless. But almost 2 years doing nothing but sitting on park benches in a state of intense joy. Again, though, that's just a claim. Do we really know he did that? Or was he just writing a book that he knew would become very popular? There's my negativity for my reading session here. Or consider Byron Katie. This California realtor was in the middle of an ordinary life. 2 marriages, when 2 marriages is considered an ordinary life, how sad. 2 marriages, 3 kids, a successful career, when she went into a deep depression. She checked herself into a halfway house for women with eating disorders, not because she had an eating disorder, but because it was the only facility her insurance company would cover. One night, while lying on the floor in the attic, I felt too unworthy to sleep in a bed, she says. She suddenly woke up without any of life's normal preconceived notions of sacrifice. All the thoughts that had been troubling me, my whole world, the whole world, was gone. Everything was unrecognizable. Laughter welled up from the depths and just poured out. I was intoxicated with joy, she says in her book, 1,000 Names for Joy. She went home and sat by the window, staring out in complete bliss for days on end. Yeah, see, I just continued to function for about a month in the state of bliss and just felt happy, felt at peace. Sadly, I didn't turn into Eckhart Tolle. Damn it. Then again, he kind of looks like an alien. There's a video of him, and you can see the profile zooming in on him. Not zooming in, but the camera angle is from the side, and he looks like an alien to me. It was really freaky looking. I don't remember the name of the video. If I find it, I'll put it in the description, but it's a creepy looking picture of him from the profile. But anyway, maybe he was just sitting oddly. It was like freedom had woken up inside me, she says. Unfortunately, that's all that she writes about that. That's where that ends. All right, boldface, Colonel Mustard in the conservatory with the wrench. Okay. Quote, common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. Albert Einstein, German theoretical physicist. And read that again. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. That's a cool quote. I was playing the board game Clue with a couple of my daughter's friends. We passed out the detective notebooks and placed the rope, the lead pipe, and the other miniature weapons in the miniature mansion's miniature rooms. I said to Kylie, who was playing Professor Plum, why don't you go first? The girls looked at me as if I'd just asked them to take a shower in the boys' locker room. Mom, Miss Grout, they loudly protested. What? What did I say? Everybody knows Miss Scarlet always goes first. Likewise, they explained that in order to make an accusation, you have to be in the room where you think the murder took place. And if you want to take a secret passageway, you can only do it between the parlor and the kitchen or the library and the conservatory. Who says? I asked. The rules. It says so right here. One of them thrust the neatly printed rule sheet in my face. These engraved in stone rules remind me of how we play life. Somebody decided that this is how the world works, and because we all agreed to see it that way, we made it reality. Turns out we've all been had. Nearly all the concepts and judgments we take for granted are gross distortions of things as they really are. Everything we think is real is simply a reflection of the clue rules we all agreed upon. The world we think we see is merely the projection of our own individual clue rules. If I'm not saying that right, Clue, the game, clue rules. It sounds weird when I say those two words together. Maybe it's time to take those clue rules, cut them up, and use them as confetti. Until we finally get it that we are wholly loved, wholly lovable, and wholly loving, we will continue to feel empty, question our purpose, and wonder why we're here. That's why we need to ask for a whole new lens for looking at the world. Coincidentally, it's interesting that she's talking about not following the rules exactly, because I often change rules with games. I wrote my own player's handbook for the game Dungeons and Dragons. I've changed rules for the Wyvern card game that we played, and I just loaded a video of us playing the game. Finally got another video of me and my one friend playing 3 games on video, so that was nice. But we still haven't done our Wyvern tournament. Hoping to do it this month. We'll see. Anecdotal evidence. Being gloomy is easier than being cheerful. Anybody can say, I've got cancer, and get a rise out of a crowd. But how many of us can do 5 minutes of good stand-up comedy? Says P.J. O'Rourke, former Rolling Stone correspondent. How many of us can do 5 minutes of good stand-up comedy? Yeah, not many. Karen Johnson always knew, some of you will know who this is. I didn't when I read this until it became clear who this is. Karen Johnson always knew she wanted to be an actor. In fact, she says her first coherent thought as a young child was, man, I'd love to act. Even though she grew up in the New York projects, theater and what she called pretending to be somebody else was a big part of her life. This was back in the days when Joe Papp brought free Shakespeare to her neighborhood in Chelsea. She also watched lots of movies with her brother, Clyde, and her mom, Emma, who raised the 2 kids on a single salary. When I saw Carol Lombard coming down some stairs in a long satin thing, I thought, I can do that, she says. I wanted to come down those stairs and say those words and live that life. You could be anything up there in the movies. You could fly. You could meet alien life forms, as I adjust my light here. You could be a queen. You could sleep in a great big bed with satin sheets in your own room. By the time she was 8, she was acting for the Hudson Guild Community Center, a children's daycare theater arts program near her neighborhood. Her life took a detour in high school when her dyslexia caused her to get mistakenly classified as slow, possibly retarded. Wow. Her dyslexia did that. Wow. She dropped out of school, became a junkie, and forgot all about her acting dream. By the time she was 19, she was a single mom herself. The good news is she did kick the drugs. In fact, her daughter's father was the drug counselor who helped her get off the junk. But the bad news is he wasn't cut out to be a father. I disagree. He could have been a father. He didn't think he was cut out for it. I think he could have been. I think anybody can be. Again, it's just a decision. He left a few months after their daughter Alexandria was born. Yeah, because he felt inadequate, probably, I'm guessing. Karen was a high school dropout with no skills. In fact, the only thing she knew how to do was take care of kids. She took a job as a nanny and moved to Lubbock, Texas, with the friend who hired her. Eventually, the friend moved to San Diego, and Karen and her daughter gladly followed. When the relationship went south, why would that relationship go south? That's so sad. She found herself stuck in California with no money and no skills. You followed this woman to California, and then the relationship goes south. Man. She didn't even know how to drive, a major hindrance in freeway happy California. I had no high school diploma, she says. All I had was me and my kid. Oh yeah, and that man I'd love to act dream. During the day, she learned to lay bricks and went to cosmetology school. Jeez. At night, she played around with an experimental theater troupe. So how are you being able to be with your kid if you're doing all this? Man, I don't know how she got through this. For a while, she did hair and makeup for a funeral home, supplementing her income with a welfare check, worrying about how to get my kid more than one pair of shoes or how to make $165 worth of groceries last for a month. Won't even last a week now. Through it all, she continued to believe that anything is possible. Wow. So going through all of that, yet she's still saying anything is possible, but all those bad things happen. See, that's a struggle for me. That why didn't her life work out better if she was believing that throughout her life? I don't know. She continued to believe that she could be like Carol Lombard, floating down the stairs in satin. Somebody messing with the blinds? Acting is the one thing I always knew I could do, she says. Her unwavering belief finally unlocked the door. In 1983, famed Hollywood director Mike Nichols happened to catch her performance in an experimental troupe in Berkeley, the Blackstreet Hawkeyes. He was so blown away by the characters she played that he signed her immediately for a one-woman performance. The Spook Show on Broadway. Steven Spielberg caught that show and cast her as Celie in The Color Purple. By then, she'd changed her name to Whoopi Goldberg. What a story. I'd never heard this. I can do anything. I can be anything. No one ever told me I couldn't. No one ever expressed this idea that I was limited to any one thing. And so I think in terms of what's possible, not impossible. Whoopi said in her autobiography book, or is that the name of her autobiography book? Is it called book? Because it's in italics. But if you believe that, why did your life go so bad for so long? Why didn't it work early on? This would be my question. But, I don't understand it. So I knew I could never turn water into wine or make cats speak French. But I also learned that if you come to a thing with no preconceived notions of what that thing is, the whole world can be your canvas. Okay? Just dream it and you can make it so. I believe I belong wherever I want to be, in whatever situation or context I place myself. I believed a little girl could rise from a single-parent household in the Manhattan Projects, start a single-parent household of her own, struggle through 7 years of welfare and odd jobs, and still wind up making movies. Okay? So, yeah, I think anything is possible. I know it because I have lived it. I know it because I have seen it. I have witnessed things that ancients have called miracles, but they are not miracles. They are the products of someone's dream. As human beings, we are capable of creating a paradise and making each other's lives better by our own hands. Yes, 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 this is possible. If something hasn't happened, it's not because it can't happen or won't. It just hasn't happened yet. I admire her way of thinking. I definitely have to give her that. More anecdotal evidence. Harnessing the power of your mind can be more effective than the drugs you have been programmed to believe you need, said Bruce Lipton, PhD, American cell biologist. For years, Myrtle Fillmore's life revolved around her cabinet full of medicine. Not only did the eventual co-founder of Unity Church suffer from tuberculosis, which caused her to spit up blood and run a near constant fever, but she also had aggravated malaria. Jeez. One day, she attended a lecture by New Thought teacher, Dr. E.B. Weeks, who made the outrageous claim that God, who was all good, would never wish disease on anyone. Furthermore, he said, if she aligned herself with this all-good spirit, she would discover her true self, which could only be healthy. Over and over, Myrtle began affirming, I am a child of God and therefore do not inherit sickness. She refused to judge according to appearance and praised the vital energy of God within every cell of her body. Little by little, Myrtle began to get better. Within 2 years, there was no sign of her old illnesses. If that's true, these are miracles. That's magic. This is phenomenal stuff. Myrtle's husband, you think that was wild? Get a load of this. Myrtle's husband, Charles, witnessed the remarkable healing of his wife and decided to try the same affirmations. He, too, was considered disabled, thanks to a boyhood skating accident and a subsequent series of operations. His hip socket was badly damaged and one of his legs had stopped growing. He wore a steel extension to make his legs even. He figured the best he could do was learn to live with the chronic pain. Like Myrtle, Charles Fillmore began to affirm that there is an all-good, all-powerful energy force. Not only was he completely cured of pain within a year, but his shortened leg caught up with the other one. That's magic. And I believe in magic. The universe took care of him. The method. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a persistent one, said Albert Einstein again, German theoretical physicist. Gotta love this guy's quotes. This experiment will prove what Sally Field finally figured out when she won the Oscar for Places in the Heart. You like me. You really like me. I thought Cher said, you like me, you really like me. Am I confusing this quote with Cher? Was it someone else? Did Sally say that? Anyone in the comments want to let me know? You like me, you really like me. It will prove how sublime our world truly is. For the next 48 hours, we're going to keep track of goodness and beauty. The record of history, of course, is written in blood, in wars, treachery, and competition. But as paleontologist Stephen Jay Gould said, the fossil record shows long, uninterrupted periods of biological stability. In fact, It's a structural paradox that one violent act so distracts us from the 10,000 acts of kindness. Human courtesy, kindness, and beauty, he claimed, are the norm. He called it our duty, our holy responsibility to record and honor the victorious weight of all the innumerable little kindnesses that are all too often unnoted and invisible. Keep a journal on hand for the next 2 days and list these kindnesses. I don't know if I can do that, but maybe I can. I'll see. Here are some examples of what you might enumerate. My wife gave me a kiss before I left for my doctor's appointment. The receptionist and I compared pictures of her new baby and my new grandson. When I entered my office with an armload of books, a stranger held the door for me. The man at the lunch counter smiled and said, "What's up?" Students in the overcrowded lunchroom graciously shared a table. My email misbehaved and a colleague helped me sort it out. A colleague in another state responded to my testy message with grace and goodwill. The principle, the Fish and Loaves Principle, the theory. The universe is limitless, abundant, and strangely accommodating. The question, is my focus on the negative keeping me from seeing reality? This is also why I chose to reread this. It's this nagging suspicion that my negativity is my number one problem that needs to change. The hypothesis. If I change my outlook and make a concerted effort to look for goodness, beauty, and abundance, it will show up in spades. See, and if it wasn't for meditation, I don't think I could do it. But because of that, and with Neville Goddard's teachings and Joseph Murphy's teachings, I think I can do this. The approach. I've heard the old adage, what you appreciate appreciates. So I guess I'll give it a whirl. Who knows? Maybe expressing gratitude is more than just some mumbo-jumbo Pollyanna Oprah thing. Willie Nelson, after all, said that when he started counting his blessings, his whole life turned around. Like Willie, I'm ready to bet on the probability of peace, bliss, and joy. Unfortunately for me, I have experienced that for about a month, so yeah, I want it back. Consequently, I will actively seek goodness with a vengeance. And the last quote, we have more possibilities available in each moment than we realize. This was said by, don't know how to pronounce his name, Thich, T-H-I-C-H, Nhat, N-H-A-T, Han, H-A-N-H, Buddhist monk and peace activist. All right, got to read this last little bit here. Afterward, lift each other up. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating, said Abraham Hicks. High fives, fist bumps, you made it through the book and hopefully through the 9 experiments. You've bravely cast your hat into the ring. That means the hardest part is over. But if you quit now, you miss the best part of the whole adventure. This is where the payback begins. What I'd like to suggest is that you form a group in your hometown or home church or even Home Depot, although don't tell them I sent you, with other readers of E Squared. Even though the FP is always with us, always guiding us, sometimes it helps to have real human bodies to remind us. And heaven knows, we could use the company. That's why it's vital to find partners in crime, other spiritual warriors who are willing to listen, to cheer, and to remind you just why you're doing this. As Abraham Hicks likes to say, when you get tuned into the energy that creates worlds, the universe will match you with others with similar vibrations. It's almost like a cosmic dating service. These teammates will enter your vibrational sphere, like attracts like, and together you'll be able to square the energy until it explodes and exponentially into a juicy new world and delicious new way of being. Number 1 guideline, play and have fun. Yeah, that's the way I want to live. That is and always will be the ultimate energy generator. Good. Create a protective circle so each of you will feel safe and valued. It doesn't require a 4-hour commitment. Maybe you'll do it over the phone. But it's important to enlist others with whom you can share the results of your experiments, others who are also experimenting. Share stories, inspire one another, make up new experiments. My group proposes a different experiment each week. These can be anything from calming the energy in a busy, hectic room. Works like a charm. You just radiate peace and stillness and watch how it changes the energy in. Wow. For example, and watch how it changes the energy in, for example, a restaurant or a highly charged meeting, to changing the tenor of a relationship in which you hold automatic judgments and conclusions. My group has a ball reporting back about our successes and about the times we failed to move out of old school conditioning, both powerful lesson plans. Okay, so I'm guessing she means like when it didn't work. Okay, I think. In these circles, it's imperative to talk about and focus on life the way you want it to be, not how it may appear. Not about how it may appear. Instead of asking what's wrong, probably the most repeated question in the entire English language, focus on what's right. That's the only question that really means anything. The answer is the new, more joyful story you're endeavoring to create. During every get-together, share examples of how your life is improving and growing, and as always, appreciate, embellish, affirm, and dream as you keep these three things in mind. 1, you are awesome whether you realize it or not. You are a tremendously powerful, energetic being. Currents of possibilities run deep through your bones. 2, the great field of potentiality is unlimited. Absolutely anything is possible. All it takes is a willingness to open your mind, surrender old school conditioning, and continue to expand into more joyful, freer, bigger ideas. 3, we're all in this together. If we take care of one another and go the extra mile to appreciate and play together, we all gain. We all gain. Each one of us is lifted up. Sure, we could walk alone to the finish line, but the real joy comes from tackling the journey together. I totally agree. From raising our voices in one mighty, unified wahoo! Exclamation point. Okay, so that's it. So with that, I want to say if anyone is in Chicago and would like to start a group with me, boy, you know what? Maybe I should keep that on. There we go. I'm more than open to it. I don't care who you are, what you are, you know, your age, your whatever you are. Doesn't matter to me. Religion. Would love to meet anyone in Chicago who'd like to start a group like this. Because I want every one of those experiments to work for me. And I might make that one of my goals now, that I'm going to reread this book and just by myself or with a group and make it work. So if anyone's interested, let me know. I can, that's right. The book that I thought I had bought, I only bought on Kindle. I spent $10 and I thought that must be the book. No, it's a really, really big book. I forget what it's called. I'm going to look it up. Hold on one second. Okay, How to Use Your God Power. It's a longer title than that. To get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. It's a big, long thing on Kindle, which I can read if you guys would like to hear it. I could do it a little bit each day. I'm not reading it as of right now. But it's like, here, how many pages is it? Does it say? I thought it said. No, I guess not. No. All right. Doesn't matter. I'm willing to read that if you guys would want. This is another book though that I bought. This lady was on Facebook promoting her book on a Facebook page where I was trying to get people to look at my book or narration of my book, Forestera's Fate. And I bought her book and let her know. I was hoping she'd do the same with me, and but I didn't say anything. But she saw that I was promoting my book too. And oddly enough, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry that book was poorly put together. My publishers, I'm getting rid of them." She had a publisher. She got a publisher, but they messed her up. They messed up her book. They did all kinds of things to it. It wasn't that big of a book, but I did get it in the mail and started to read it. It sounded kind of neat. But she's rewritten it she got fired her publisher. She's doing it all on her own now. And this is a big book. I'm going to show it to you right here. Let's see how big this thing is. It's very, very thick. It's called The Story of Gwen. I will gladly read this if people would like me to read this. It is by K.N. Baker. We are Facebook friends, but I'll just read you the back. This is a fantasy book. This is The Story of Gwen. I know it doesn't look like a fantasy book, but it is. Gwen's heart is lost in shadows after a divorce leaves her devastated. A cat's escape leads her into enchanted woods where magic breathes life into despair. Creatures whisper secrets, monsters test her will. A cursed prince cries in the darkness. Gwen's destiny is hanging in the balance. Will she save the prince, or will evil reign supreme? I don't know if this book is any good. I liked what I'd read in the beginning, and it's a smaller version of the book. I think I have it over there somewhere, but it doesn't matter. This is huge though, but I haven't started to read it yet. So that's something I could do if anyone wants me to continue to read. I know one person said, "How about reading A Course in Miracles?" I could look up to how much it's going to cost me to get that book. I could maybe buy it on Amazon, I assume is the place to get it. I don't like to purchase things on Amazon now, but you know, we'll see. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Outside of reading something else, I don't know. I started to read the Chronicles of Amber at one point, stopped doing that. It's too hard to read. Roger Zelazny narrated it, and it's great, and that's my favorite fantasy book of all time. So if anyone's interested in fantasy, like The Lord of the Rings, I'd take the Chronicles of Amber over The Lord of the Rings. Of course, I would take The Hobbit over The Lord of the Rings, because The Hobbit's an easy read. The Lord of the Rings is a heavy read. I would say the Chronicles of Amber, the first 5 books, are kind of middle of the road kind of read. Not light, not heavy, kind of in the middle. The second 5, books 6 through 10, are very good, but the first 5 are the best. And if you're not aware of the Chronicles of Amber, just listen to it on YouTube. Listen to Roger narrate his book. Sadly, he passed away before he could do books 6 through 10. But books 1 through 5 is a separate series. Books 6 through 10, they're 2 separate series. You don't need to read the second series. It ends with book 5. And it does not, it kind of continues, but no, because it's a different main character. So it's a completely different series. So I just wanted to mention that in passing. Of course, I don't need to read my book because I've already narrated it on my channel. So my narration of Forestera's Fate is there in books 1 and books 2, for those of you who don't know. Also, if you like the Chronicles of Amber, check out The Dungeon Minister. Check out the YouTube channel, The Dungeon Minister, and type in the Chronicles of Amber, and you'll see his thing that he did on that, because I sent him those books and he read them and loved them. He also made a video about my books, Forestera's Fate. So you might be interested in that. And another channel interviewed me about my books. He had listened to the narration. His channel is called Fate Master Cesium. Very small channel, less than 100 subscribers. And he hasn't posted a video in a while. I think he's been very busy with other stuff. But he interviewed me, and it was really cool. Him and 2 other guys. So there's 4 of us in the interview. It's about an hour long. And that was the first time I've ever been interviewed. And nobody saw it, but it's kind of cool. If anyone would like it and I can't find it, let me know, and I'll put it in the description. I'll put the link to that interview if you'd like to watch it. That's it. I'll talk to you all later. Hope you're having a phenomenal, fantastic, amazing, abundant life. There's my positive statement to end. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.